everybody. Welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner.
And I'm Mitch. And why am I so cold?
You cold?
Yeah. Maybe it's because I'm wearing a t-shirt in the middle of the winter.
Could be. You're wearing a tech shirt at that, and those are not the warmest.
And you keep your house how cold?
I don't think it's that cold down here. And actually, the door is shut, so it should be actually warmer than normal.
Must be getting old and can't handle the cold.
I mean, it is set at 67. It's not super warm, but it's not super cold.
Too cold.
I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I feel great. I have coffee too. So
yeah, maybe that's what I need. Or I should start drinking bourbon.
You could have. Yeah. Broke open that Taylor that you got in the truck.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
It'd be warm. Mm-hmm. You have some homemade simple syrup at home waiting for you.
Yeah.
Is that a this weekend thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I can't use the Taylor for that though. So I'll have to use
No,
that is
straight.
That
Taylor, you drink straight.
Yeah.
Colonel Taylor.
Yep.
Okay, I am not a bourbon, although we do have somebody that said he would be happy to join us for the bourbon podcast.
Who is that?
Jim Raisman.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's Raisman.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
how you say his last name? I think it is.
Or Raisman.
Raisman.
Raisman
he said he would be happy to join for the bourbon podcast.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll have him on just to drink bourbon.
He's done several races. He's an ultra.
Yeah, and we paced with him at Kalamazoo. He was pacing, and
we did.
Yeah, he paced at Kalamazoo, and we did.
Oh no, yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you meant he ran with us. Pace.
He was.
I was like, wait a minute.
No, he was pacing as well.
Yeah,
as
he
us.
paces there. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then I've ran into him on a few different races, Yankee Springs, I think, at a couple of races, and just gotten to know him through that. And mostly now it's through Facebook and things like that, but we stay connected that way. But anyway, he has commented and said he would be happy to come on the bourbon when we have bourbon as a focus as the podcast.
All right.
But it would be the I Don't Know Running, Drinking Bourbon podcast.
We'll have to try to talk a little bit about running while we're drinking bourbon.
A little bit. Oh, for sure. It would just, you guys would drink bourbon. I would have my NA beer. And what's funny is because since stopping, I do want to try bourbons because they're so distinct. They're just not there's so many distinct tastes to them.
A lot to learn about it too.
Tons to learn, yeah. And I guess maybe that's what it is that interests me about it. Mm-hmm. And you do like what you just said. I'm just like, well, make your drink with the Colonel Taylor.
No. I mean, you do what you want, but it just seems like if you get a really good bourbon, you don't want to
mix it.
So
what would you mix to make a drink?
You still want a decent bourbon.
Yeah, but what would that be?
I don't know. I have a lot of bourbon. So if it's something that I'm not crazy about, like if I pick up one and I try it and it's still a decent bourbon, but I didn't spend a lot of money on it, and then I'll, that would be what I'd make a old fashioned out of.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's about the amount of bourbon talk we'll have on this episode because this episode we want to talk 2023. I bet people thought I was going to say 2024, but we want to. Well, we will talk about both.
We'll get there. This is, the ups and downs of what this past year was, because this will come out right at New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Yeah. And we wanted to cover what the year has looked like. What did we do in 2023? What are some goals we accomplished? What didn't we accomplish?
Started out hot. I just know I was trying to run 10 miles every day until my back told me to stop.
Yeah, so that goal was not accomplished.
No.
Wah, wah, wah.
It's okay. That's okay.
Got to take the highs with the lows, right? But no, it is exciting when Nicole actually reached out this week sometime and said, here's the Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout, for those that don't know, and probably nobody listening would, is the platform that we use to distribute our, they're our podcast host. So we put the podcast up there. They push it out to all the different listening platforms. But in doing that, that's a one-stop shop, mostly to get all of our stats. And the reason I say mostly is because we added YouTube this year.
And YouTube is not rolled into there. So what we think or what we've seen is we have a few less listens on the podcast platform, but
realistically,
YouTube is taking that over probably.
Yes. And so,
because people want to see our smiling faces.
Yeah, apparently so, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 2023, some things that started off is we did want to add YouTube. But in doing so, let's just get personal here. I was in the process, in the beginning of 2023, I was in the process of selling off a company, the company that Nicole and I had owned, which for good, bad, or indifferent, it just because you own a company doesn't mean, everything's glorious.
Right.
It is stressful, and we didn't just make a bunch of money off that company. Like, it just didn't. It was rough. And so the process of it getting sold took a ton of weight off from Nicole and I. It was good. Like, don't get me wrong. We owned it for 12 years. It was a good experience. I'm happy I did. But man, it was rough. It was rough going. We had to deal with COVID and all that. And man, it wasn't what we turned out or what we thought going in it would be. And that would be retirement. Mm-hmm. And so all that said, I carried a lot of stress into 2023 in the process of selling that. And it's still weighed on me all year.
So as you're going through and doing this, we're trying to add YouTube, trying to add all this other stuff, and then you're basically doing that plus working at the church.
Yep.
It just gets a little
I was doing 2 jobs essentially, and it was too much. So as everybody listening knows, or most people know, we pushed pause from July of this year to November. And so we took 4 months off this year, and we want to set all this up to just explain some of the numbers, which we are really excited about.
Right. The good news is that we probably have the potential of having more downloads for about 3/4 of the time of the year than what we did last year. So it is growing, even though we push pause.
Yeah. So by the end of the year, we will have more downloads just in Buzzsprout alone.
Yeah, not even including YouTube.
2022. That's not even including YouTube, and we took 4 months off. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. That is super exciting. That means, not only are the dedicated listeners still listening, but others are listening as well, whether that's through shares or whatever.
I had a goal of somebody sending me some crazy entry in travel, but that didn't happen. So we'll have to roll it into 2024.
That's another womp, but
2024.
Hey, you can't reach all. If you get every single goal, you're not setting your goals high enough.
Some would say that.
Yeah, you got to set goals, but they're attainable, but you're not always going to reach every single one. So we did have a great year. We introduced YouTube. We added Patreon, although late in the year, but we did add Patreon. We have supporters.
You even did that you've been talking about forever. You did one midweek checkup.
I did one midweek check.
So you can say check.
We added that.
Got it.
Check. We nailed it. We got that in. Now, we haven't
done another one,
but we also did not set a specific schedule on that.
Right.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's look at some of those stats. First, let's look at 2022. 2022 was the first year of the podcast. We did one episode every single week, and we had 4,665 downloads. And I think that's a fairly accurate number. Mm-hmm. If we look at 2023, just the Buzzsprout numbers, we have right now, at the time of this recording, we still have a couple of weeks, 4,642 downloads just in Buzzsprout, and we took a 4-month hiatus for good reasons, and we're gonna eclipse. I mean, just based on sheer what's going to get downloaded. We will eclipse 2022 numbers, and then throw an additional, roughly probably what will end up being at the end of the year, probably close to 2,000 downloads or views on YouTube. So realistically, we'll be at 7,000. Let's say 7,000. No, 5, 6, 7. So 6,500. I don't do math well. Do it even worse when I'm running.
Who can think while they're running?
So roughly 6,500 downloads this year between Buzzsprout and YouTube. That's exciting to me. That's a big growth taking 4 months off.
Yeah, so that, I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of other personal goals too. I was going to try to run another ultra this year. I just was not in that shape.
Health gets in the way sometimes. I mean, yeah, we can't hit them all. But yeah, no, that we thought that was super exciting. And then if we dial in a little bit, dig into these stats a little bit. Where's my I thought I had. Oh yeah. So let's look at some of the stats that we shared last year. Was like, okay, where are people listening from? What's the most downloaded? Things like that. It's also, what is also interesting is where we land. So where we land within all of podcast, and this is within like every podcast that goes out there. I don't know if this is Buzzsprout podcast, which again, for those that don't know, Buzzsprout hosts. It is the leading platform for hosting podcasts, so it's huge. We landed in the top 50%. That's actually down from the first year. The first year because it's based on all your quantity and quantity per week. So realistically, if you take all of our podcasts, including YouTube, I would say we're closer to the top 10% of podcasts out there, which is, again, super exciting. And then if you look at, obviously it makes sense, Grand Rapids is our most popular city where people download and listen from because of where we are. But this is kind of cool. We are classified as a jet setter by Buzzsprout because we were in 2023, we were in 27 countries, which I believe would be down from the prior year, which is, I guess that would maybe make sense a little bit. But all total for both years, we are in almost 50 countries. The podcast has been downloaded in 50 countries, or 49 right now. So if we can get that one more to get to 50.
So if you have a friend
in some country that we'll put out a list. I don't know. We are in 49 countries. So that's pretty cool. 761 different cities.
Huh.
Again, very, very cool. Let's see. What was the next one? Oh, top episodes. Let's talk about top episodes. We did this the first year. And again, it's a little bit difficult because of YouTube right now.
Because of the two platforms.
I don't have a way to combine those easily yet.
Yeah.
I'm hoping...
If they dumped into one platform, it would be kind of slick.
And I hope because...
You just got to get better with your spreadsheets.
Yeah, right. Well, no, I think what's going to happen is YouTube has done a push with podcasts because podcasts are huge. They've already been booming, but now with YouTube adding it as an actual like YouTube podcast, Spotify doing it, they bought... Spotify bought... Oh, I can't think of the podcast hosting platform.
Somebody can Google it.
It's one of the other podcasts like Buzzsprout. So it'd be like Spotify buying Buzzsprout. It'd be the same thing. It's another popular one. Anyway, with Spotify buying them, things like that, there's been this huge push in podcasts. So anyway, all that to say, hopefully YouTube does the same thing and they push stats to combine so that I can get that. But anyway, our top episodes this year was the Ben Brayman shares what it's like to be a trail builder episode. It's our episode 55.
He's not like some
ultra runner,
elite athlete, ultra runner.
I would say he is an elite athlete. That maybe elite's a little bit of a, but that dude's an athlete.
Okay,
like for real.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's not
he's
like
not a Jim Walmsley. He's not a
yeah. So it's just funny.
But the dude has done a lot, and but that episode's not anything that I would say
that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, it doesn't have this like catchy, I don't know, big thing. He's a trail builder, and that's what we talked about. What's it take to build trails, which was super interesting because we love the trails.
Right.
And that dude, man, talk about hard worker and just getting it done. That guy, he does it. And building trails is right up his alley. So anyway, that was our top episode this year. Number 2 is the Dan, how do you say his last name? Kasperwitz.
And
episode.
Yeah, running a 2:30 marathon, and he broke 2:30 this year. So maybe we need to
gotta have an update.
Yeah, he was at Grand Rapids. I think he was like 2:29 and change.
So what place would that put him there? That'd have been pretty good.
He was second. First to lose.
So it was,
but I think it was only. I
was gonna say, how close was he?
I say only like by 20 seconds or something.
Oh, so it was a race.
So I know he listens. He's gonna give me a hard time on my stats because I messed up on his.
You
5K
did,
stakes.
and I had. Do you remember I questioned you?
I did a Lewis.
Do you remember I questioned it?
I
was like, wait a minute, and then because I thought, well, I mean, he could do that in his marathon pace, and sure enough, I looked it up and I'm like. Yeah, that he would do that in a marathon.
Yeah, he texted me, and I was wrong.
So yeah, that episode was second, and then we had a couple. And this one, well, it's funny because this one makes sense, but only from the YouTube perspective. Boston qualifier and the Boston bombing 10-year anniversary episodes were the next two. And anytime you put Boston into a running podcast title, they're going to generally do pretty well.
And then, we interviewed our friend Mark, and that was part of it. And then you put the question out, did he actually qualify?
Yeah.
So people can wait to tune in.
Yes, and Boston and qualifier are, again, two words. If you want to get clicks or views, those would be the ones you'd want to put in. And those were just simply because we wanted to know. And it was kind of fun to go down that road with him. So those were the most listened to podcasts this year. And I don't have the stats right away to know, like how do they compare to the prior year. But yeah, that's kind of a look back. If I go to YouTube just quickly, it was pretty interesting to look at. Again, this is our first year with YouTube, so I'm learning a little bit. And I told Mitch when we started this episode, I was excited because I love these stats. I just think it's fun to see them, see how things are doing.
You sure you're not an engineer?
I'm not an engineer.
Oh, okay.
I've never engineered anything. My shed's still standing though, so that's good.
Pretty good. You probably didn't. Yeah.
I followed a lot of YouTube stuff, so
you slept at a Holiday Inn.
And I slept at a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, you're good.
Good to go. So YouTube standpoint, I would wager by the end of the year, or not wager, I would guess by the end of the year, we're going to be around 1,500 views on YouTube, 1,600, something like that. Something like that. I could be off on those numbers, but
probably are. Again.
Probably am. But what was interesting to me is the impressions. And what impressions means is the number of times YouTube chose to put our video in as our thumbnail in front of somebody. And I don't know where we rank or anything like that. but I just think it's really cool how many times we were put in front of somebody.
You know, and we talked about stats with YouTube and stuff like that, and what you put in there for your picture and all that stuff makes a difference.
Yeah.
And basically, skin wins. So maybe we need to wear half shirts.
You know, that's the thing. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but if you scroll YouTube for any given amount of time, you will see a woman posing a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's video blows up.
Yeah.
And so if you check their channel out, every single video has a similar
It's not
way
about content.
It is not. That gets the clicks.
Not that we have.
The follows.
We don't know crap about running, so I mean, it's not about content for us either. But maybe. I mean, I have some race shirts that are basically half shirts anyway. We'll wear half shirts.
It's interesting when you go down the YouTube rabbit hole of how things, and it makes sense.
Views?
It's not any surprise, right?
No,
we know skin wins. That's what people market.
Yeah,
that's why every billboard has some scantily clad. Unfortunately, you know, it's just. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just the world we live in. However, anyway, it was cool to see.
But we're right up in stats against those people too. Then.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're right there.
And we're not
our impressions is like 0.5% of what the views they get, but it is cool to see. We were placed in front. Our YouTube videos were placed in front of somebody 85,000 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's cool.
Now
that is really cool.
What do we got to do to get them to click on it?
Well, no, true. Yeah. And that's where you put the scantily clad woman in there.
I would think beards would go a long way too.
Got to be close, right? I'm sure Rudy could hook us up with some bearded women. That'll get clicks.
I don't think I want to see. No, we don't want bearded.
That's not going to get clicks? Go the other way?
Yeah. Somewhere.
No, the other way is not going to work either.
No, I don't know where we're going with any of this, but
we're trying to get clicks. We're trying to get our video clicked.
Somebody help us. Help us.
But anyway, it was really cool. The top impression was the Mark Vanderkooi impression, or was it a Boston qualifier? It got that thumbnail. Got put in front of 18,000 people.
Here's the question, and you got to go back and listen to that one. So that's the challenge. And I want to throw this out there again. Did he beat his brother's time or not? That's the real question, because we challenged him. I mean, we don't want to give that away, but if they're going to go back and listen, did he beat his brother's PR?
Are you talking about? Oh, so Mark. He's going to Boston this year.
He is going to Boston. He got in. He
did. So you're saying did his qualifier beat
his brothers?
His brothers.
Yeah,
gotcha.
That's I like to make him feel uncomfortable that way because
So that's some of the YouTube stats. Other than that, I have not dove into the YouTube stats enough to know.
You've been busy.
What makes sense?
Naps,
building a shed, stuff like that.
Not
running, unfortunately. However, that's going to change in 2024.
So are we rolling into what's our goal for next year yet? Or are we still talking about stats?
I think we've covered 2023 stats enough so that people are probably really bored and want to move on, I would think.
Like, what's to come?
Yeah. Let's talk 2024.
Okay.
Let's talk 2024. I Don't Know Running first podcast. And then we'll get into some personal goals.
Okay.
Number one, what's to come for I Don't Know Running? First thing. Why didn't I not write it down? I'm looking at this.
You've been looking at a blank page this whole time and just making crap up.
No. The biggest thing that we want to put out there. Oh, I do have it. I just didn't necessarily.
Oh.
We want to do the IDKR race.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a big one. That's a huge one.
But we have to, now we've talked about this.
We got to plant our flag.
But we have to get together. So we got to start meeting on this.
We're going to start talking to a few people we know.
Mm-hmm.
Terrence has already said he's happy to help
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, whoever comes to the race, may see PT Sports Pro there. Just
I hope
guessing.
so.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I would assume. We got to pick somewhere where a time when he can be there too.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we are going to put on a race. We are going to have the I Don't Know running. It'll be the IDKR. Don't know what yet. Some kind of a race somewhere at some time in 2024.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome.
Well, yeah.
Duh. So that's a big one. And I don't mean to say it's a big one because it's going to be a race. It's going to be a lot of work.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are going to have to put in a lot of work to get it done. Number one, because we're already in a time crunch for when we're thinking we want to do it.
Yeah.
So, which would just a little bit of it'll be fall, but from what Terrence has told us, you need to start a year out.
Yeah.
And we're already under a year.
And the cost, and you need sponsors because the cost is pretty high.
We'll have to figure that out because
we need
from what
PR
Terrence told us, putting on a race is not cheap. It's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of reasons. So we're going to figure out a way to try to, make it as doable as we can. And it's going to be fun. We're going to make it a good time. And so we want to put this out there right now. Be looking for it. We want everybody to show up and support this race. It's going to be fun. Number 2, we are going to do race recaps.
Yeah, that's where my personal side comes in. But so I expect when you go out to crew Brian at Western States, hopefully we can get Brian on to talk about his experience and stuff and do it as fresh as possible. Like, what, I mean, you get a 30-hour time limit to run that race. What's the crew doing for 30 hours if it takes that long?
Yeah.
And you're up before that and then you still have to drive back. So oh my gosh, that is so much fun, but so hard at the same time.
So we are going to recap any race that we are a part of.
Yeah.
So when Mitch says Western, I'm not running, but I'm a part of that race.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will be doing I'm hoping to do some B-roll type, GoPro type checking out of the race. We're going to share that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have Brian on to talk about it. And then we are going to talk about basically every race that we run in 2024.
I assume that I'll run Groundhog again. I run it every year.
Yep.
I'm signed up to pace at Glass City and Bayshore. My big goal, I have 12 states left, is I'm trying to plan out Alaska for this year.
Yeah, that's your big one.
That's
for
my big one.
2024.
So I would hope maybe, we'll just talk about it. The one I'm looking at it's in July. It's out in the middle of nowhere in Alaska. So it's not easy to get to, and it's a little overwhelming.
I like that one.
Trying to plan it right now.
We were talking about this morning on a run, and man, of the two that you're talking about, because Anchorage is the other one.
Anchorage is the other one.
That's the easy. I say easy. It's still in Alaska, but that's the easiest of the two.
But this other one looks so cool because it's
does.
a festival weekend. It's a salmon run festival.
Yeah.
And the only way to this town is either by a little puddle jumper or by ferry. Like you would take a ferry there. It's like a 7-hour ferry ride.
I think it's awesome. That's the one, man. If you're going to Alaska, that's the race you got to do.
And I'm learning more and more as I'm trying to plan this out. Like Alaska might as well be its own country because if you think about experiencing Alaska, you are lucky if you can hit 2 of the 4 regions. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
And it's just not easy to get to. So you're not going to go there one time and experience everything there is about Alaska.
Do you remember the name of that race?
It's a salmon run
festival marathon.
Race, yeah. The other one I was looking at is Mayor's Marathon, and that's in the end of June. That would be our anniversary.
That's the one in Anchorage?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I figured they called it the Anchorage.
Yeah, it's Mayor's Marathon.
Oh, gotcha. There was something I was going to ask you about that other one.
But the thing about the one in Anchorage, like the end of June, it's like the longest day of the year. So you can basically have daylight at midnight. So that was appealing to me a little bit. Just not that I stay up
thinking that you're going to...
I won't stay up that late.
Thinking you're going to have a 12-hour marathon?
You never know.
Do they have a time limit on that marathon?
No, it's just, because we would plan on being out there for more than a week.
Yeah, for sure.
And then kind of like when we went to Montana.
Yeah. Try to experience as much as you can for the marathon.
Right.
Yeah. So we will do race recaps of all races we do, and that's yours. And I have some on my forecast. I am looking at, number one, the pacing of Brian. Mm-hmm. If I have to, if I can, depending on the knee situation, which I'm really hoping that's either taken care of or can be delayed if I have to. And I would put it off till next winter. I would have the winter to recover, and then I would keep my summer. But man, going up and downstairs more recently, it's like I feel it more and more and more.
Well, you're almost 50.
Well, and Terrence was saying like it's something that could progress. Mm-hmm. And so I'm worried that it's progressing, and so it may be something I have to take care of.
And you got that holiday weight on too, so it's
I know there's that, right? That's why I put a sweatshirt on, cover that up. I have that. I have the Brian pacing one. That'll be my goal, like because that's number one. That's not short. Like if I were to pace in one of two sections, it's either 15 or 17.
Such a cool race, too.
And it's such a cool race, but it ain't easy. Like the terrain you're on is not just like simple. And so I need to be able to go up and down hills.
Yeah.
So I want to be healthy for that specifically. And even if I can't, I want to go out and crew. I don't care. If I can't pace and he has room, I still want to go and crew. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's the end of the world if I can't.
I was thinking about it while we're running today. It's like, I could probably go without Tammy and make it a cheaper.
Yeah.
It's our anniversary weekend.
Other than there's
so
that.
It'll probably be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And then I have, I'm thinking if everything is healthy and I can like get through the knee issue this year, I want to do the 50 mile at Mohican as a 50-mile race. Seldom ever actually raced. Like I almost never am. Well, it's interesting. Like I try to go my fastest, but anyway, I would like to go and do a solid 50 mile. Yeah, I don't know if I have time to be competitive, but I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy, in good shape, with good training. Let's say that up to the 50 mile at Mohican, which would lead me right into going out to Western States with Brian. And then one more short one closer would be Tombstone 50K.
Mm. And where's that at? In Arizona?
Ohio somewhere.
Tombstone in Ohio?
Well, it's called the Tombstone.
That doesn't
50K.
Make sense.
I know, but it
seems like that should be in like Arizona.
Yeah, there's got to be something around it. But anyway, it's in Ohio somewhere. It's actually put on by a guy I know through, I don't know. I know him through Orange Mud. But Paul Stoyevka, no, that's not him. It's somebody else. But anyway, it's part of a couple of races that he puts on. But I love Tombstone. It's one of my favorite movies ever. And and it's a 50K, or actually it could be a 30K. But either way, it's close. It's kind of like right in the good time frame of building up. And so I'm looking at potentially doing that. Again, race recaps on all these. We'll talk about these. We'll be sure to make mental notes, take footage if we can, even if it's just our phone. We'll try to show as much as we can. And
because another one I was looking at too was in New Hampshire.
Yes, the downhill one.
The downhill one.
The Rebel series.
Rebel series in the beginning of May.
So
I don't know. I got 12 states, and I want to get super aggressive. But
so that would knock off 2.
They would knock off 2, and there's Georgia didn't look too bad to get to. I was looking at one. It's a little early in the year, just depending on how I feel.
Yep.
But
if your back holds out, because now it's your back you're fighting.
Back, knee, head, whatever. Something goes wrong.
Those are some of our personal goals and podcast goals, the recap side of things. And then we are going to introduce an additional week, twice a month podcast called the You Don't Know What You Don't Know segment of the podcast. And this is something we talked about with PT Sports Pro.
Yep.
We will be
somebody that supposedly knows what they're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, these people will know what they're talking about. And they want to share things that you don't know what you don't know and help us in all of our goals that we have. And so they will come from a very educated, very informed place, sharing with us health techniques, things like that, that'll help us be healthy and get in meet our goals that we have. So yeah, we'll be doing that starting, I believe it's in January. I say believe because that's like right around the corner.
I know. We got to get back with Terrence
and get that lined up
and schedule.
But he's been out. Oh no, that was Thanksgiving.
Back.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah.
So we'll get with him, get some things lined up, and we will be starting those soon. And you'll see those coming out on Wednesdays. The plan right now, I believe, is Wednesdays. Those will come out, and they'll be in addition to our normal podcast. So
they'll
be looking for those.
They'll at least be released on Wednesdays, and then you can listen to them anytime.
Yeah.
After that.
Yep. So be looking for those. And again, those are going to be brought to you by PT Sports Pro. Terrence is jumping on board with us to do that. And then lastly, a goal for the podcast is just to increase our social media engagement and visibility. We want to get in front of more people, motivate more people to run, and share a lot more about what we don't know and that we're still learning. Share some experiences that we have and things like that, because you have the social media platform to engage, and unless you're really doing a lot on there, there's just not a lot.
There are
that happens.
Companies that hire people that are just do that. And it's not us. Right?
No.
So we got to get more active on that.
One of the people that is looking to support the podcast has mentioned he's actually shared a lot of information with us about it, and he showed me the schedule. And holy smokes, like I can't imagine. It's like 3 times a day.
Yeah.
3 different platforms, or like 2 different platforms doing stuff. And like TikTok, and we don't even have TikTok. But you can do it wherever, right? You can do it on Instagram or YouTube. Well, probably more like Facebook. But man, to really do it right, he shared that document. Oh my goodness. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But he even said, he's like, yeah, I don't, he said something like, I don't know if, like, not everybody does that, but that's just like something he got from some company, or he developed for a company or something like that. That's kind of like what he does. But wow, that was intimidating to look at, because I thought, man, I can't do that. There's no way.
Yeah.
Maybe Mitch will do that for us.
That'd be me.
So yeah, anyway, those are some goals for us in 2024. We want to continue to grow. We want to grow the podcast. And so in that, we ask for your help, those listening. Share it with somebody. Share it with those that run, those that don't run. And hopefully we can motivate them to run. Because the fact is, we do have some listeners that have dabbled in running, and we have made them motivated to do more. And that's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
That's all we have for this episode. Right? Did I miss anything? Probably. I shut my computer, so we're done. See you next week.
That's right.
It's our new sign off. No. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Push those to your friends and comment. Send us emails. Love it. And it's funny because as we ask for more, I actually do see more come in. I think we got to put this on the front end, though.
When they get bored and they don't want to listen to us anymore.
Like, shut us. They're like, oh, they're wrapping up. I don't need to listen to the rest of this.
Right.
But yeah, share us with your friends, family who want to get into running, and check us out on all the platforms. Listen on all the platforms. And with that, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.